listening to Inclusive AF with Jackye Clayton and Katee Van Horn.
All righty. Welcome to the Inclusive AF podcast. I'm Katee Van Horn.
And I'm Jackye Clayton at the beach.
Yeah, we are. So we're at the beach today. So excited. We're using our Zoom backgrounds. For those of you just listening, not watching, we have our Zoom backgrounds on with our beach scenes behind us because we were feeling a little like we need a vacation and because we have some things we want to talk about. So Jackye, I'm going to actually let you, or I shouldn't say let you, I'm going to throw it to you and have you kick it off.
Well, I've been noticing something that's been going on with this whole like work from home thing. It's weird. So I didn't know this has been going on. I've been working at home for like 10 years, but there are people that have decided to turn like working at home into like TMZ, like full on want to see everything that's going on in your house or keep your video on all the time. Getting criticized for not turning your camera on during meetings, which I think is so rude. Like, why do I have to let everybody see me eat my roast beef sandwich? Like, I'm hungry, people. I don't want to have my camera on.
So yeah, I want to share your roast beef sandwich. So that is why I want your camera on. But since we're on the beach hanging out together, I think you should share. That would only be the right thing to do, Jacqueline. But yeah, so, we want to just talk a little bit about exactly that, like the almost weaponizing of working from home that has been going on. And so what I'll share and kind of what got this conversation started is that Jackye and I are on quite a few HR Facebook groups and subscribe to quite a few HR blogs and this and that and the other thing. And there is this kind of theme that we're seeing from folks around attendance policies and having cameras on and making sure that people are turning on their cameras and, should we give them demerits or whatever it is. And, how do we deal with that? They didn't actually say demerits. That was my word, but
still,
it feels like it's a demerit. Yeah, they were thinking it. So just thinking about like what is the right amount? We talk about being authentic. We talk about being inclusive. We talk about, being able to share your whole self at work and how we want folks to be able to do that. But there's also maybe I don't want to share.
It's share what you feel comfortable with sharing. Like, I don't really like sharing my kitchen, but I do all the time because I can't, unless I move, it's just the way it is, unless I'm here at the office space. But I don't think you should require people, like, when is it going to be about work? Can't it just be the work I do? Why do you have to know what the process is? We talk about why do you have to see how the sausage is made?
Well, because I'm in your kitchen, Jackye. That's why I need to see how the sausage is.
In my particular office situation, you're going to have to watch how the sausage is made.
Yes.
What do you think has been the most outrageous thing that you've heard or seen as far as policy, besides the fact that of HR people asking if they should have a policy, even though people have been home for freaking 7 months?
Right. Yeah. All of a sudden it needs to be a policy. I think so. Just this past week, I have seen, we want to insist on people turning their cameras on during their shift. And I'm using air quotes for shift because it's like the core hours or whatever it is, because these aren't folks that are, like in a call center or anything along those lines. These are, not that everyone should, I don't think anyone should have to have their camera on all day long, but it's, like engineers and folks that probably are stepping away to go do other stuff, but they're getting their job done. So, I think for all of us managing the working from home, you and I both have worked from home for quite some time. So I am totally that person that's like, okay, well, I'm going to go change over a load of clothes in the wash. I'm going to grab some water and then I'm going to sit here and work for 4 hours. And then I'm going to get up and make something to eat or whatever. Maybe not 4 hours, but you get my point. Like,
yeah,
there's that balance that we now have to strike. And it's also, we don't even need to get into like parenting and homeschooling and all that business. We can, but I think it's just let people do their jobs. So like the policies that I'm seeing are just like, are you managing children? Because that as an HR person doesn't sound fun
I
as
don't
anyone.
know. I don't think people realize what this does to a person's psyche. Like it creates a really weird, unsafe, competitive environment where people are trying to prove how much they're working all the time.
Right.
And they will get completely burnt out. There's no, I mean, or, it's too bad we can't like set up a candid camera and we could just be lounging all day. What are you going to do now? I set the camera over my bed. Yep.
Well,
I'll be right there.
it's actually funny they say that. So my sisters, I have a couple sisters that are teachers. One of them was mentioning that, that getting her kids to keep their cameras on has been very tough. But like she has said that, she'll have kids that are like laying in their bed as they're in class, which I just find because I'm not a teacher. For her, it's not as funny.
No. Have you like seriously met with somebody and they were in their bedroom during a meeting? I have.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yes. I've had people recently, and again, this is kind of the being inclusive and going, hey, this is what space you have. This is where you are right now.
Sure.
Like been in their bedroom, bed's not made, and just is what it is. It's a lot of different things because I think it's also it's the socioeconomic piece that's just like, let's be inclusive of everybody, but it's also just the how people live that might be different than I live. And so it is like, I don't live in New York, so I have more space than other folks, or San Francisco or wherever. And so I think there's also that piece where I was on the phone with a gentleman from New York and his 3-year-old ran into the bedroom that he was in trying to, it was her bedroom. So he was in her bedroom, but that was the only space that they had in the apartment for him to have a conversation. And so, and it was funny and, we kind of all laughed about it, but it was one of those things that like, he's like, I'm so sorry. This is the only space I have that isn't already occupied or isn't a kind of open environment where everyone is there. And so it is just, everyone has different ways of living, and that's okay.
I totally last week forgot to press mute when my daughter came home with boneless chicken wings and was explaining to me that she got me a Kool-Aid juice box because she bought me a kid's meal. And on the flip side, my Jeremy, which people know I work with Jeremy, started yelling, "You're not on mute." And I'm like, why is he yelling? It was a whole thing. Like,
who is he yelling at?
Me. He was like,
no, I know.
I'm like, why is he yelling? Like, why is he so loud? And what is a jammer? Kool-Aid jammer? It was like a whole, and I was so embarrassed. And because you know me, I have rolled my eyes, heavy side, opened a beer at 3:00 once.
Yeah.
And of course, it was Jeremy again, who started cracking up and said, "Look, Jackye can't take it. She totally just got a beer in the middle of the day.
It's time." No, and I think that's, and now that I'm not going to encourage that people drink during the day, that might step over the line slightly, but at the time it was necessary, and I understand.
They earned it.
Right. But it's this whole judgment of or whatever it might be. And I guess it goes back to, for me, the HR. You're not anybody's parent.
That's right.
You are not here to hand out demerits. You're not a school marm.
No.
Like, what are you trying to achieve by being the police for the entire organization? What is that fun for someone?
It can't be. But I don't think they realize how the workflow moves in an office. Like, I haven't been in an office in a long time, but people, even though they look like they're sitting at their desk typing, they're not. You have to have breaks in between your work, even if it's like maybe you check your Facebook or you check something, whatever it is, to just take a minute to step away from work in order to be productive.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot. I'm like the frog in like the Looney Tunes cartoons. Like if you start making demands, I will freeze. I totally was thrown off and you forced me to do something. And I was having such a bad day. And someone said, oh, can we talk? And I go, yeah. And they said, what's diversity? And I couldn't answer the question, Katie. Like, I just can't do requests like that.
Mm-mm.
And so for you put that pressure on people, and I know what diversity is. So if people were asking you to do creative work or come up with solutions and you feel like you're unsafe, you're just not going to do your best work.
Well, and I think it's also, and I don't know how you are about this, but I am one of those people that I know my limits, meaning from like when am I most creative? When am I most productive? When am I like, nope, I got to shut down throughout my day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also I used to have a colleague and she was a total night owl, meaning like she would be like, let's start working on this project at 5 p.m. And by like 5:30, I was like, and we're done. And,
Yeah.
and she'd be like, well, no, we have 6 more hours to work on this. And it was kind of a little bit of a debate between the two of us because she was definitely someone who did her best work at night. And I was like, start me off at 7 a.m. doing this same project and I will knock it out of the park. And it's just because of like our bodies, whatever, how we've mentally trained ourselves. Now working in tech, that changed, that shifted quite a bit because I was that person that would like get in the office at 7 a.m.
Yes.
But then, when no one else showed up until 9:30, it kind of threw things off a bit. But like even that, like it's knowing your like what time of day is best to answer a question like, hey, I don't know how to Google things. Can you tell me what diversity means?
Right.
That's
right. That's
so there's that.
Hi there, I'm Peter Zollman. I'm a co-host of the Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketplaces podcast.
And I'm Stephen Rothberg, and I guess that makes me the other co-host.
Every other week, we're joined by guests from the world's leading job sites.
Together, we analyze news about general, niche, and aggregator job board and recruitment marketplaces sites.
Make sure you sign up and subscribe today.
But I also think there's a piece here that I think we already talked about this a little bit, I think, in one of the other episodes around the fact that we are seeing a exodus of people from the workforce, and the exodus is much more, the numbers are much higher for women and BIPOC.
mm-hmm.
And that being the case, it is these things are all adding up to why people are leaving, and maybe not okay, hey, you have to have your camera on all day long, because that is just so
absurd,
wackadoo, bananas, like no. But it's also when I have my kids there and I'm trying to be on a conference call, I don't have kids, but like in this example, and I'm trying to have a conference call and they're interrupting or they're doing whatever, how that might throw off the conversation. And so they're choosing, instead of staying in the workforce, I'm going to go take care of my kids because I can't send them to daycare. I can't do this. I can't do that. And it's just so unfortunate because I think the backlash from a diversity perspective, we're going to see the numbers dip again that we have been working on for years to increase women in leadership roles, BIPOC people in leadership roles.
You're fully right about that. Sorry, go ahead. Keep
No,
going.
that's it.
No, I just feel like there's so many other things that HR professionals could be doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do have a different type of audience. You do have a space where you can see people that you never were able to see even in the office because you were stuck with your little, pals in the office. Like you should be surveying people. You should be finding out what the temperament is. You should be finding out what they need. Like what's going on with like holiday gifts or things that people did within the office. What do they need? What would make them be better and feel more like their best selves? And for some people, they just figured out the how to maneuver within the office when all of this happened. And others, which is more interesting to me, is the people who started at companies while it was remote. How are they going to transition when they have to go back in the office?
Well, and even, yes, and even how are they adjusting to the culture that isn't the actual culture right now because of the fact that everyone's working remotely?
Right.
How does that, how are they onboarding, or how are they learning the unwritten rules? How are they learning some of the things that you know because you're sitting next to someone in an office all day that you wouldn't know if you're sitting at home? You know, how even like things that seem really simple, like how a meeting is run, meaning, you know, who gets to talk, when do they talk, how does this format go, which you can, you know, read the room and read cues when you're sitting with someone or with a group of people, which you can't get on Zoom, especially, you know, if you're on a Zoom that maybe isn't using video, which
Right.
again, it should be okay, but it is, how do you balance that? And so I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, what is HR doing to actually think about what would be the most impactful for folks? Like, if you're not doing a holiday party this year, what actually would be helpful for folks?
Right.
And it might be, wow, I'm going to get you a $100 gift card for groceries.
Right.
Or it might be, you know, hey, we're going to sending everyone a Postmates gift card or whatever, or Uber Eats or whatever they use. Because I think there's other pieces too that it's even, I think you and I have talked about this a little bit. By the time I'm done at the end of the day, because I feel like it's a different level of engagement being on Zoom all day long.
Right.
By the time the day is over and it's like, okay, what's for dinner? The last decision I could possibly try and make is going and looking in my refrigerator, my pantry, and going, oh, this is what I'm going to make tonight. Because I'm like, I'm going to order something, or I'm going to sit here quietly and eat gummy bears.
It has been so bad for me. And I'm glad you said that, because I thought, like, literally have to talk to the therapist about why I went from somebody who loves to cook to literally crying over, you know, I have to make dinner every night.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is just because, like you're saying, everybody's had to adjust, and my whole family has had to adjust too. And, you know, okay, you're on Zoom all day. So, and I have to have my camera and I can't walk around or do anything. So I'm not doing anything. I'm not preparing the things that I used to. I'm not taking the time. I don't want people, because I have, you know, all of these other organizations and things that I volunteer and stuff. And then I want them to sit when I'm ready, but I have no schedule for me time, you
Right.
know, because of, similar to what you were talking about earlier about like being a day person or a night person. My company currently, the majority of the employees live in Seattle and I live in Texas. So I'm still getting notes at 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. Not all of them need my attention. Some of these, again, I should probably talk to a therapist about shutting down. Oh no, I
Boundaries. Boundaries.
I need it. Do I owe you a copay for this? But is trying to get all of these things adjusted for when is your best time. And I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's a great recommendation for all of our listeners to set up not only your boundaries, but make a note of when you feel your best and you can actually do your best. I am a daylight person, which means if the sun comes up at 5, I'm up. If the sun doesn't come out till 8, I'm just not talking.
Right. No, it's so true. And obviously we are, you know, recording this in November, mid-November, and late November. Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh my God.
Okay. Sorry. I just looked at my calendar. Big mistake. Anyways, that being the case though, like here in Arizona, and I think you're probably in the same boat, where the sun is rising around 7-ish, so when I get, which is my normal time to get up, it's dark out. And
Right.
So my first cup of coffee that I'm drinking is in the dark. I mean, I turn on lights, but it's dark outside. And so there is that difference of, you know, in the summertime, you know, the sun is up at much earlier than I get up, but I do, you know, usually get up as soon as I can see the light coming into the house. But yeah, no, I am totally a proponent of figuring out what your best time is to do different things. And it is just a matter of like mapping out like, okay, here's when I'm most creative. Here's when I'm most, hey, I can be heads down working on something. Here's when I'm really good to be in meetings. But again, we don't have that luxury right now of saying, you know what, I can't be on a Zoom call from 8 until 5 because some of those hours I need to be doing this, that, or the other thing. Right. And we had those breaks of going and talking to someone in person or being on a phone call versus a video call, that's the one that actually is like, when someone's like, hey, let's just jump on a phone call, I'm like, oh, yes, please. I'm so on board, because it is I'd much rather do that. Not because I like talking on the phone more than Zoom, but just because I'm like, it's a break in what the norm is.
Well, because you can walk around your house.
True.
You're a talk walker. I'm a talk walker. Some people, I used to always pace. I'm a pacer. Like in meetings when I'm thinking, I walk around the house. And I think that's a generational thing for us too. Like we both had those like TV phones with the long cord, and you would pull it. It was like such a luxury, where you would hide in all the cords, so you could get privacy. And I appreciate that. And we aren't, I mean, until I shaved my head, I would be like, I'm not Zoom ready. Like the effort it took to try to even look, like I didn't have a big nest on my head. That took effort.
Right. And I've postponed a few mornings when I'm like, I haven't showered yet, and I need to wash my hair. And then when I wash my hair, that's not just I wash my hair and I'm ready to roll. It takes a minute. And so yeah, fully, I agree with that. And I think it's also, you just made me think of something that is also kind of that remote leadership, whatever you want to call it. I think you've probably heard the advice of like, when you have to have a hard conversation with an employee, or when you're trying to give feedback, to do like a walking one-on-one, meaning so the person doesn't have to look you in the eye when you're saying something like that might be kind of tough for them to receive, that, hey, go take a walk around the building, or go, just go on a walking conversation. So you're not staring in their eyes as you're telling them, wow, your performance isn't great right now, and I need to talk to you about it. Just because there is something there from if I have to look someone in the eye while they're telling me I'm not great, that hurts, versus, hey, we're going on a walk and I can look other places, I can do whatever I need to do. And so even that, like, we're not having that luxury. And yes, I am totally when you're giving feedback, be in person as much as you can. And obviously Zoom is the next best alternative, or video of whatever option you have, Microsoft Teams, whatever it might be. But that being the case, there is that kind of, wow, when you're delivering tough feedback, this is how I normally would tell a leader to do it, is go take them on a walk, go have a conversation that you're not having to like stare at them in the eye. Do you hear me, Johnny? Do you hear the feedback I'm giving you? So yeah, I think there's a piece there too, that the walking or doing it on the phone, when you can, is something to consider.
I'm wondering how disproportionate this is to people who are hourly employees versus salaried employees. I mean, it's like you're worried about the people that are making, working by the hour, like they're going to be taking advantage, and which is always the situation, which is so laughable. Like you making six figures are spending your time trying to monitor people that are making, less, your salary, less than half of your salary. And you're going to point and pick at them because they're not freaking on the chain gang. The hell. Sorry, children.
Don't cuss. It's very bad.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it is, there is a balance there, because it is how do you hold people accountable and at the same time respect boundaries. And so again, yes, we are joking a little bit, or, kind of having some fun with this, hey, we're on a beach, but it is we have to be thoughtful about the fact that maybe their background isn't ready, or they don't want to share it. And it might not be that there's something like, oh, hey, a bed's not made or whatever, but it could just be that they're just a private person. They don't want to share their entire lives with their coworkers. I know people that are like, yeah, it's just not my thing to be that open with folks, to let them know who's walking around behind me while I'm on a conference call, or what's going on in my home. And that's okay.
Looking for the inside scoop on payroll? Whether you're a payroll pro or just curious about your paycheck, we've got two podcasts you cannot miss. It's About Payroll delivers the latest trends for payroll pros, and It's About Your Paycheck is here for employees, breaking down pay and rights in simple terms. Two great shows, two great hosts, and endless insights to keep you informed and empowered. Subscribe now and elevate your payroll knowledge. Brought to you by Work Defined, where payroll meets people.
And it's the accountability piece is really, are they doing the work that you're asking them to do? Are they getting the work done?
Outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Depend on the outcome of the work instead of doing those things. I remember when I was at a job and somebody had complained. It was when I was at agency recruiting, and they had complained that I was taking too many breaks, and said, "Oh, well, Jackie's taking too many breaks." And my boss said, "Well, Jackie's top recruiter. She can take a bath right here in the middle of the office if she wants to." And that's the thing that is.
And so she did.
And I did. It's on my all hands.
That's awesome. Sorry, I totally interrupted you.
So, I mean, it was one of those things where people do judge, and they look at because you're not sitting right there on camera as if it's some benefit. Nobody wants to sit there in the first place. That's the whole point. That's what we're dealing with. And I think it's so important to meet people where they are and give them an opportunity, especially because they're at home anyway. What about saying, when are you best? What would be good for you? Starting at 10 and working till 9? Starting at 5 and working until 12? Like, what would be good in interdepartmental observation of these are these people's work hours, these are the times when we can schedule meetings. Just try it.
Well, it goes along with, I think, what so many of us who've done work with global companies, and even you just mentioned, like, hey, I'm getting stuff from the West Coast until whatever time. And, similarly, I'm getting stuff, like I wake up and I have emails from folks on the East Coast or from Europe or wherever. And it's like, oh, wow, it's been 5 hours and I didn't respond to this because I just woke up. And so there is that, that urgency that you create for yourself, which no one else probably even realizes is there or cares, because they're like, hey, you responded to me today. That's all I was really worried about.
Right.
But there is this, like, again, even with like folks that have kids at home, hey, your kids are going to be online from 8 to noon with their online classroom or whatever they're doing. So during that time is a good time to have your Zoom calls, because they're, with their teachers ish. But like, what I mean? Like, just asking that question. And I know it's hard to like do that across multiple people, but it is the like acknowledging that people are humans and they have other stuff going on. And to your point, what's the best time for you?
I was laughing so hard. So at my house, I'm there. My senior in high school is at home, and my junior in college are at home. My junior in college has her work computer. She has her school computer, and then she has a computer that she does all her data science programming on. My son has the 17-year-old senior. He has his Chromebook, and then he has his school book, because one of them he works on various documents, because some people use Google Classroom and some people don't, and he prefers to be able to work on the Google Classroom. And then I have my computer. They both have iPhones. We have the Xbox. We have everybody has a Google Mini or a Google Home in the speakers. And he was playing video games, sorry, Waco ISD, in the middle of the day, and it stopped. And he ran in the middle of my meeting, and he was like, Mom, they can't hear you. The computer is down. And I was like, oh no, mine is on priority. Like, I just turned off the Xbox.
Right.
But he thought, because it's happened before where, because I do meetings and webinars and conferences, like where I could be giving a presentation and have no idea that the whole thing is down. And it was just so funny, because I guess we're blessed, but I don't know how people who don't have as good of Wi-Fi, or if you were in a high rise, competing with all of that, trying to do that in your house, how many hotspots can you have? I just can't. I don't know. I don't know.
The lesson here is stop gaming during the workday. Son,
Don't game, son.
don't game. It's bad. during
I
the
did a
workday.
webinar, or I did a panel conversation this week, and TJ, I made him go around and unplug all the things that were not being used. He had to
Right.
unplug our 2 smart TVs, all of the Google Home thingies that we weren't using, all of the stuff that connected. We just turned it off because that would not be great.
I was, I don't even know if I should admit this, but I think it's kind of funny. It's not funny, but it is a little bit funny. So I was in the middle of a training like 2-3 weeks ago,
Yep.
and I had sent them to their breakout rooms to work on a specific topic. And while they were in their breakout rooms, my Wi-Fi went down. So then, of course, I had the panic of my Wi-Fi's down. I was the leader, the host of the Zoom, and I didn't. I was like, oh my gosh, did that just shut down the whole Zoom? And these 40 people that are on the Zoom are now like, what happened? You know what? So I'm like losing it, like just completely. You know, I lost my mind a little bit. I was freaking out. So I get everything back online, jump back in, and oh, did I mention that the CEO was a part of this training? So I get back online. It's been like 4-ish, maybe 5 minutes. So I jump back online and they're still in their breakout rooms. And so I bring them back and I was like, oh, that was a little bit longer. Hope that was okay with everybody. And just played it off like, yes, I just went over a few minutes. It's totally fine. But I think that's like, it's so everyone's dealing with stuff like that. That's just kind of ridiculous, but also like what else are you going to do? It just is what it is. So yeah, the Wi-Fi sitch is always a good one. So
I just moved my camera from
okay. Jackie's now, I think Jackye just went for a swim. I don't know what's happening. Jackye, I don't even know how to describe this to the listeners right now, that Jackye just kind of went down into the waves of her Zoom background and went for a quick swim.
Overboard.
Yeah.
Because it's if you're listening, you can't see it, but the video just got bad. I was trying to make it easier and I just made it worse. So with that being said,
so what is your one thing for all leaders, all employees with their peers to be thinking about as they go into their work week next week? What's the one thing that you would give as advice to managers, HR, and employees who have peers?
I would say if you haven't yet, it's time to do a pulse check on where people are, what is working, what's not working, and try to figure out if this is something that how working at home is going, and ask them what they need in order to be successful at their jobs. I think is going to be important. Just do a quick pulse check, ask them, 5 different questions, and then keep that into consideration, because you can really change the trajectory of your whole company during this time of getting that information that you wouldn't have had otherwise, and start thinking about what you're going to do moving forward through. Some people will be celebrating holidays. Some people are going to be sad because of that. And so do a mental health check as well, just to try to offer support and let people know about the resources that are available to them. That's what I would say.
I think that's great. And I love that idea, because I also think, we know, I don't know, I think you have a similar situation in Texas and kind of across the US. We're seeing schools are closing again. There's making decisions that, hey, we're going to close until January, things like that because of COVID. And so we're kind of in that same situation that we were in the spring of kind of the unknown, not knowing what's going on for a lot of parents, but then also the EAP, so employee assistance programs, whatever you can do to give them mental health support and encourage people to talk to someone, encourage people to reach out to EAP, encourage them, and make sure that your benefits cover mental health. And, there's a lot of things going on right now that that insurance companies are actually covering, which is happily surprising, that they are covering telemedicine quite a bit, which is great, especially from a therapy perspective. And, we want to encourage that and continue that as much as possible so that you can have a therapy session from home. And then I think the last one is exactly what you just said, is kind of just around the holidays, as you know, however people are celebrating the holidays, knowing that folks aren't going to get to see extended family or are going to have to make decisions about celebrations, to make sure that they are keeping everyone healthy and safe. So, you know, grandma might not be able to come to the holidays, or we might not be able to do any type of extended family. It might just be your, you know, your nuclear family, whatever that family looks like. And so, like, thinking about that type of thing, I think, is also front of mind for so many folks, especially going into this week of Thanksgiving that a lot of folks celebrate. So just that type of stuff is just keeping that in mind of, you know, people are challenged right now in ways that they haven't been before, and giving them grace and
Yes.
giving them the right tools to get to be okay mentally, and to be okay with doing things differently this year. So thank you, Jackye, for this conversation. And thank you all for joining us and listening.
And welcome. This is Cartoon Jackye.
Jackye would also like to say.
I was going to say thanks from Cartoon Jackye, because you can't see my camera anyway. So.
Thank you for joining the Inclusive AF podcast, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.